All right, good afternoon, everyone. We will call our meeting to order. And a reminder to council to disclose any pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. And you can do that now or anytime during the agenda. Approval of the agenda. Todd and Smokey. Any questions, comments on the agenda? Call a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Minutes of July 13th. Anyone? Anything in the minutes? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Move right into delegations. Joe Roach, forest safety and driveway concerns. Joe? Is he online or?
No.
Okay, we will go to item B. Chris Wilson, WSP, master plans for Tobermory and Lion's Head. And Chris is here. Welcome, Chris.
The presentation, and I'll just mention to change slides when we're done. So yes, I'm Chris Wilson from WSP. We are the engineering consultant involved with the master plans for Tobermory and Lion's Head, working with the Ontario Clean Water Agency and the municipality of Northern Bruce Peninsula. So go to the first overall slide. So this is just a general overview of the project to date and kind of the history of starting point. So we started this project back in 2022. There was some gaps in between just with some First Nation consultation and some other aspects. So the project has obviously extended into a few years later than normal, but we're at the end right now. So yes, we've developed master plans for water and wastewater for both communities of Tobermory and Lion's Head, looking into 2046 and beyond. Important components of it are climate change review, social and economic impacts, as well as current limitations to growth in the two communities. So the master plan approach that we utilized was approach number one. And again, all this information is documented in the master plans. So it's a very broad master planning approach. The projects are identified, but we don't go into the Schedule B, Schedule C details of the individual projects. They would have to be completed under future EAs. Next page, please. So again, this is just giving a kind of a overview of the Tobermory water and wastewater alternatives. They're very similar for both. For both, alternative one for water and wastewater is maintain existing level of service. So that would be the smaller water system in Tobermory, and the larger wastewater system, obviously in town, with other existing homes on septics or on well supplies. Alternative two was expanding water servicing within the downtown core and general community area around for both water and wastewater. And through the master plan process, those were developed to be the preferred solutions. Very similar layouts for both. We'll have some mapping later on in the presentation, which can showcase the areas. Alternative three, we don't have mapping in here and that, but that was generally carrying forward the downtown core and community area, but expanding further out into the perimeter. So much more area, much more homes included, greater cost, etc., to service those locations. Next page, please. So water alternatives, obviously we have a established water system in Lions Head. So alternative one was maintain the existing level of service. Alternative two was expand to service new growth or existing infill lots within the community and provide sufficient fire flow capacity. That came out to be the preferred solution through the master plan process. Alternative three, again, expands on alternative two. So it includes the same area, but also expanding to Ferndale with fire flow. And then alternative four is removing Ferndale, still expanding in Lions Head, but also going to Isthmus Bay and Barrow Bay with fire flow as well. The wastewater alternatives, we basically have two alternatives: maintaining the existing level of service, which is septic systems, or alternative two is completion of a wastewater treatment plant, wastewater servicing within the downtown Lions Head. So alternative two, through the process, is a preferred solution. It is one of the larger solutions because there is an established wastewater system in Lions Head currently. Next page, please. So this page is giving kind of a project status to date. So we've completed a climate change memo for both communities, a design basis report for both communities, evaluation matrices have been completed, which basically look at the criteria and categories and how we process to come to the recommended solutions for an alternative, I should say. Indigenous letters have been provided to those communities for the notice commencement, the PIC, and responses received. Similar for stakeholders, agencies, government agencies, etc., and the public. The notice of commencement was provided on the municipal website and the PICs as well, and responses have been received. So public information center for each community was completed last year in the summertime in both communities. Sign-in sheets were received, comments were received at the PICs and also through emails, and they've been documented in a general format within the appendices within the master plans. So specific emails, etc., are not necessarily provided, but the comments are generalized to carry forward the concerns and comments from the public. Number 8, draft master plan's gone through various revisions in the last year, and we submitted the final draft late last week. So those are available for further comment by the municipality and Ontario Clean Water Agency after this meeting. Next page, please. Well, this one's hard to see, but it just gives a general process for the municipal environmental assessment / master plans. So basically, we're in phase number 2 at the selection of the preferred solutions. So then a notice of master plan would be completed instead of a notice of completion, because it's not a EA per se from a Schedule B or C perspective. So then once that's complete, then the master plan would be finalized and put out for the review period for the public agencies, etc. So all the agencies that were involved would be contacted, provided access to the reports for comment period, and same with the public, that would be posted on the municipal website for review and comment as well. Please. As to the preferred water and wastewater solutions for Tobermory and Lions Head, we've looked at current and future growth considered up to the year 2051. And again, of the infrastructure solutions that are discussed, a phased approach is obviously a very appropriate way to provide these expansions, etc., to reduce impacts to current water and wastewater services, properties with existing wells and septics, and the overall community in general. Next page, please. So now into the first solutions. So we're showing a map of Tobermory that we've considered for this option DWS2. That's expand water servicing to the downtown Clerk community area. The map shows somewhat existing development and future development within the area, with the red lines showing future. And these were carried forward from discussions with municipality and developers to include in the area. So this option would include a new centralized water treatment plant with adequate water storage for fire flow capacity. Next page, please. So again, this one, so now we're looking at potential options within this. And again, these options are not finite. They could be expanded under the future EAs. We've generally provided 2 options for each water and wastewater alternative for both communities. So first, we're starting with Tobermory Water Option 1, which we've looked at retrofitting the existing Little Tub water treatment plant to basically a low lift pumping station and a new centralized water treatment plant at a location within the community. So basically, the existing water treatment plant would be converted to a pumping station, which would then send water to a larger area for a water treatment plant. So yes, we've showcased on the map 2 locations that we had looked at during the application process we went for funding a few years ago, and they included a location at Brock and Legion. So currently right now, those are the 2 locations that we've considered. There's obviously potential for other locations that would be investigated during the EAs, but their property has to be purchased, or better locations that have higher elevations for support of a water tower, etc. So under this option, there could be potentially a requirement to extend, deepen, or lengthen the water intake, depending on the capacity required. The water treatment plant, we would be looking at providing proper fire flow. There'd be approximately 7 kilometers of new distribution water main, more fire hydrants within that water main, and obviously the disconnection of homes and put on water service from their personal wells. The new water tower would be approximately 2.5 thousand cubic meters, and then obviously there would be decommissioning of existing wells involved, which would that's not to happen until the system is in place and the phasing that's completed. So, you want to have a working system before you disconnect the people and their wells. Option 2 is very, very similar to option 1. However, it would be basically decommissioning of the Little Tub water treatment plant and the construction of a pumping station and new intake at another location. Now, obviously, we don't know that location, but it would obviously have to be down by the Tobermory Harbor or in the area around it. But I know we are limited by the existing water treatment plant location with sizing and space. So it's a very similar option to option 1. It's just a new location for a low lift pumping station. So similar locations for the water treatment plant could be at those 2 locations we discussed on Legion and Brock, but then there's potential for other areas as well. Next slide, please. We looked at high-level project costing and phasing and opinion of costing for the current year. So part A would be facilities. Under option 1 would be water treatment plant, work at the low lift station to convert it to, work at the existing water treatment plant to become a low lift station, the water tower, etc. And we've given an indication of approximately the timing would be to develop that by 2031. It would be a Schedule CEA, and as a probable cost of approximately $41 million. Part B, the water main would obviously be constructed at a later time frame. We have included as realistic costing as we can at this point for rock. It could be a very large cost for installing new water main. There are abilities to create the trenches smaller and group like infrastructure as well, but you don't want to have water main and sewer too close together. So there are some separation requirements that the Ministry of the Environment usually requires. So typically the water main is covered under your water permits and things. So it generally is exempt from EAs, but that would have to be investigated further just to make sure that schedule is correct. And the intakes, part C would be intakes. So that would be tied to the facilities, and that would require a Schedule C EA as well. For the water option number 2, very similar costs for the facilities. Obviously with the water main would be a similar area. The intakes would be more expensive because we're looking at a a development of a new water pumping station on another property, and then a new intake would be required and to receive water. Wastewater next. Very similar mapping to the water, showcasing the same developed areas and non-developed areas. And then obviously we're expanding out to show the existing wastewater treatment plant location and force main further to the south. So this one would include new wastewater treatment plant or upgrades to the existing wastewater treatment plant, potential new sanitary pumping stations and force mains, and upgrades to the existing pumping station and force main. Next page, please. Option 1, very similar area to the water. Expansion of the existing wastewater treatment plant with increased capacity, new and or updated sewage pumping stations and force mains. So again, we show the existing pump station on there. We've shown a potential new pump station. It is not in any specific area. It's just showcased on the diagram. The location of that would depend on the best place for connecting in gravity sewers and the need. So that would be investigated under a future EA. Obviously, the wastewater system is larger than the current water system, so the amount of new gravity sewers is less at about approximately 4 kilometers with new, sorry, I shouldn't say fire, it's just say new manholes. Apologize for that. New sanitary service connections, and then decommissioning of existing septic systems. Next page, please. Option 2 is very similar to option 1. Though it would be decommissioning of the existing wastewater treatment plant and construction of a new wastewater treatment plant with increased capacity. So logically, it would be best to probably have it in the vicinity of the existing system with land availability. But in the EA, then in the future EA, it could come out that it could be in another location and subsequent pump stations required as well. So again, similar approximate new gravity sewers, same number of manholes, similar sanitary service connections, and decommissioning of existing septic systems. Next page, please. So with option 1 facilities for upgrading the existing wastewater treatment plant, similar timelines. You start to work on the treatment system first, which would require a Schedule C EA for the wastewater treatment plant and a Schedule B EA for the pumping stations. Gravity sewer, similar area to the water, but less costs because there's less gravity sewer to put in to connect the existing homes. And then the force main would be basically looking at new force mains involved with the pumping stations or expansion and increase in size of the existing force main to the existing wastewater treatment plant. So with the development of pump stations and that and force main, you'd have to have a Schedule B EA as well. Wastewater option 2, again, is very similar to option 1, except it's a new facility. So the facility cost has increased to approximately 35 million. The gravity sewer and force main would be approximately the same, assuming that is very much in the same vicinity of the existing wastewater treatment plant. Next page, please. I'll go to Lion's Head. So the preferred solution there was to expand water to service new growth in Lion's Head and provide fire flow. And this would include upgrades to the existing water treatment plant and adequate storage to provide for fire flow capacity. So again, this drawing is just kind of showing the existing water main layout, some planned development areas, as well as some of the land types. Next page, please. So Lion's Head water option 1. On the mapping, you can see that we've expanded it to Moore Street and included that within the boundary. I know it's not necessarily within what has typically been considered Lion's Head, but we were asked to include that area and do an analysis there. So we've included the homes up that stretch up the hill there. So with this system, again, as discussed, we would be upgrading the current water treatment plant and low lift pumping with increased capacity, including fire flow. In this option, we've considered that the intake would likely be appropriate at the size it is, so we haven't included costing for increasing the size of the intake, location, etc. As the system in Lionshead is established already, there would be quite a bit less new distribution water main required, approximately 2 kilometers, with similar appropriate fire hydrant locations, new water services, and a larger. As you can see, the water storage is higher than Tobermory, and that's based on fire flow requirements for building types. So depending on the building types in the communities, it raises the fire flow requirements, and the volume required to fight fires. So in this option, we'd be looking at potential water tower or in-ground water at the existing water treatment plant location on the same property. Next page, please. Option 2 is very similar to option 1 in regards to upgrading the water treatment plant, but the new storage would be on a separate property. So in the diagram, we've just indicated an area of town that is at a higher elevation. It's not a necessarily a location that would be the final location. It's just to give representation of having a water tower on a separate lot. So some advantages to having a water tower in a separate area is, it can increase hydraulic performance, reduce redundant pumping requirements. It could be a little bit more expensive just because of land acquisition, etc. But as always, your best option is just to try and find property where you can get the best elevation to the pressures you need, etc. Please. Again, we've given some costing and years required, very similar to Tobermory. So obviously the facilities costing would be less since we have an established system. The water main requirements would be less than Tobermory, and the upgrades for low lift pumping and intakes would be less cost as well. So very similar Class C requirements and scheduling. For option 2, very similar again. The facilities cost is a little bit higher just because of the water tower. Dedicated pumping to the water tower off site. So meaning it is not pumping through the distribution system to fill the tower. It has a dedicated line to the tower. So we've just allowed a bit extra cost in there in case that is a route that the EAs recommend in the future. Very similar for part C for intakes, assuming that we would not be actually increasing the size or location of the intake, just modifications to the existing facility. Next one, preferred solution, Lionshead wastewater. So the preferred solution came to look at providing a dedicated wastewater facility and servicing a Lionshead, including pump stations and force mains. Next slide, please. So this option 1 is a new wastewater treatment plant, collection system, pumping system, etc. for the community. The location of the pump station and wastewater treatment plant we've contained within the boundary of the community. However, again, these are just reference locations to provide some substantiation to produce costing estimates, and they're the best locations, etc. And studies would come out in future EAs. So approximately 8 kilometers of new gravity sewer to service the community and the surface zone that we've indicated, new sanitary service connections, and decommissioning of existing septic systems. Next page, please. So Lionshead option 2 is very similar to 1, except we've showcased a potential wastewater treatment plant outside the community with a larger force main. And this option is more aligned with demand growth, meaning that you would start smaller with the pump station, with the wastewater treatment plant, and build up more as time goes on instead of spending more money up front for a larger system. I have some more notes here, just a second. So yeah, it involves more of a phased approach. Even though they're all a phased approach, this is a much more substantiated phased approach. Less land may be required at the beginning just to service what in the phasing. Additional phases would be you would upgrade the plant basically as you add more on to the community up to the final 2051 year. One thing as well is it considers more of a lagoon type system, very similar to Tobermory, where option one, closer to the community, closer to the Lake Huron, we've allowed for more costs in there for a mechanical plant, just due to the proximity, etc. So there's, as you'll see in the next page, the costing is higher for the facilities for option one. Next page, please. So again, there's a very large facilities cost to develop under option one with EAs involved, etc. The gravity sewer is obviously higher than the water main because we're basically on a brand new system. And then the force main is in town, so it's less cost than option two. Wastewater option two, as I said, the facility cost would be less money at first because you're developing at a small area to start. We're not considering a mechanical plant for that option. But however, there is a larger force main component if you wanted to extend it outside of the community, very much like Tobermory. Again, if you go to the EA, the master plans that we've provided, there's more detailed review on the costing in there as well in the appendices. So I tried to keep this as straightforward as possible. But if you have questions, etc., there is more details in the master plans. Next page, please. So next steps would be address remaining comments from municipal staff, council, and Aqua, make any adjustments, edits, etc., to the draft master plans. We would then issue the final public notice called the Notice of Master Plan for each master plan completion. It would be circulated to the local Indigenous communities, stakeholders, agencies via email. It should be posted in the local newspapers and on the project website as well. There is an opportunity to update the frequently asked questions component of the municipal website where we can take some of the comments we've received and provide other responses within that, specifically just to give the public address any more concerns they have. Item 3, then the master plans would be posted for public comment on the municipal project website. So the physical final documents would be available for public review. And then you would probably have a printed out copy here as well for people to review in office here. Once that review period ends, and if there's major concerns, we have to, people can put in the comments. But basically, once that's done, we finalize the master plans, and then the final council approval of the master plans would occur after that. So again, the cost is substantial, as you can see, for any option. The master plans do give a bit of a detailed phased approach to completion of the work, generally in the near term, which would be completing the EAs, identifying the preferred solution, more advanced, including treatment recommendations, etc. You would look at property acquisitions as required. You would initiate the start of the build out of the plants and the infrastructure to service homes. And then you get into the midterm where, the facilities you look at again, seeing as facilities need expansion, you expand to further out into communities. And then by the time you get to the end of the period, then you've developed your full system. So, obviously recommendations is the master plan's a living document too. It's not something you just sit, you review it, there's suggestions in the closure section of the master plans, to to monitor your growth in the community and developments and adjust as required to meet the community needs. For funding, of course, the recommendation would be to look for grants and funding opportunities that the government's put out, federal, provincial, to help support it. And as we've learned from the last one, we submitted having shovel ready properties definitely helps with grant funding. So having all your ducks in order before having your EAs done, etc., really helps to get the funding and have more success rate. So just any other questions, I will hand it over. Thank you very much.
Nice, thank you, Chris. So, yeah. Questions? Just on the one, I guess, you talk about grants, and of course, we do too. What do you see coming through mainly for percentages in grants?
I'm not familiar with too many at the moment, but generally I think the last one we tried was 33% funding roughly.
Grant funding.
Yeah, up to a certain value. And then you have time restrictions, and the biggest things are, well, the cost is obviously a very big concern, but they put restrictions on getting the work done as well, right? So yeah. I think the last one we went after, we had about 2 years to have the infrastructure built. So those are things you have to be mindful of.
And the detailed master plans are quite extensive, and there's around 600 pages involved, and maybe it's embedded somewhere in that report, but
majority of there's a lot of appendices. So
yes,
there's copies of emails that takes up probably half of the report.
Okay,
the climate change memos in there, which is many pages. So the main body of the report is probably 60 pages. Okay. All that. It's just all the attachments and background.
I'm wondering, do you look at the connections that we have, the hookups we have, and associated cost with a hookup? Is that in there?
The cost of individual services to property lines is included in the costing.
So when we look at, say, $60 million figure, and you get a 30% grant, so it's still 40 million.
Yes.
And so we're looking at our hookups are like when the tree in line says maybe in water 350, maybe 325, 350.
That's what you charge?
Sorry,
what was the 350? Sorry,
the number of present hookups that we have in Lion's Head, and I'm just wondering, just based on even the expanded growth, and include that in the number of hookups, what would we be looking at per hookup? Just to give us some idea, it would say we do get a 30% grant, 33% grant. Is that in there, or
so? I think generally we included between 5,000 to 6,000 for the physical pipe installation from, say, the water main to the property line. But there are costs with rock removal, etc. So we've elevated that cost to almost double, basically, to account for rock removal and other things. And we assumed a trench width, right, to try and reduce the cost because of rock. Typically, if you cut it in, you'd have wider area, you'd slope down, and then you'd have your water main in a kind of a box, where we've looked at more of a vertical installation to reduce costs. So we don't have obviously, etc. through the committee. That's an endeavor in itself. So we've assumed higher risk and more conservative costs, just to show you that it is a large endeavor. So there are more details in the master plans, but if you feel you need more breakdowns, we can provide that information as well.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Rod?
Just so we're you're talking having your ducks in a row. If we had property, you're suggesting that it'd be a good idea to have EAs done on those sort of in preparation, or I'm thinking particularly of Tobermory, where we do have some properties. Would it be beneficial to do sort of preemptive EAs or?
Well, you'd have to do the EAs, yes. You don't have to do a separate EA for each property. You can combine it into an overall, say, a water EA, looking at various properties, land acquisition as needed, and then the best routing for systems, the best treatment types, etc., intake location. So it's all under one project. You don't have to separate it per site. But there are studies that are required in that. You could do your borehole investigations. You could do the cost analysis depending on where the best place to put the water tower is. So there's lots of studies that go into the EAs. They're quite detailed.
So you could spend a lot of money and get to the end and not be able to avoid the capital project, I guess is.
And it would go into more detail on phasing and how to establish it over time. Recommendations. You don't have to necessarily do exactly everything in the master plan. The EAs will go into the more detail and suss out the best solution. So the master plans are kind of support you in your expansion of the systems in the future, and it's a broad perspective, but you have to get into the more detailed EAs to come up with your best solution for treatment, cost, everything, supporting the community, constructability. So
That's Smokey.
Well, I was just thinking, it doesn't seem like that long ago when we did the expansion to the Lions Head water treatment plant, we were telling everybody, this is going to be it for, because it was quite a blow. But I got to ask a couple of questions about these maps, just so I mean, there's lots here I don't understand, even though I'm old. The one on, so we take a look at the master plan for Tobermory. And I mean, obviously the key to any of this is trying to predicting or looking at where development is going to go in these communities. So if we take a look at page 8, preferred alternative, expand water servicing to downtown and community area. I mean, Tobermory at this point does not have water. In this map, we have the red slashes are future development. Now, I'm wondering where that comes from, where that information is. That people that have already put in applications, or because of our planning documents, or exactly where those red lines come from.
Yes, so yes, that information came through dealing with planning with the municipality. So
so our municipal staff pretty much told you where that would be. And
there's more detailed versions of these as well. I kind of showcase breakdowns within those areas. So so for example, the wedge shaped one on the top left, it is there's more breakdown information within that, and same with the large square area on the bottom right.
So it does not necessarily have anything to do with I guess it does have to do with our planning documents, but that information was given to you by our staff.
Yes, and then when we went after there was quite a bit more details when we went after the last funding, the Hughes application a couple of years ago, where we even showcase the kind of the order that they would be developed in. So
if I wanted to know the rationale or whatever, then it's either in the index or the municipal staff reports. Okay. So then same thing when we switch to the master plan for Lions Head on page 16. The dark areas that are planned development. So what is the difference between future development, that I guess, and planned development? Because there's quite a lot of areas here in the gray that in the small hashtags planned development. So where did that information come from again?
Similar the mapping and the color coding, et cetera, was from documents provided by the municipality. So it is as accurate as we understand it is, but there is the opportunity to review it in more detail as needed.
Okay, because, I understand we're very preliminary here. These will certainly have some feedback from some of this for sure. Okay, thank you.
You want to? So. I know the bottom or just, and I'm just looking at Lion's Head, which is not the same. I know that the town area, the urban area proposed for Tobermory is large, very large, but not so much so in Lion's Head. And that sort of lays out to me the boundaries of Lions. That's the town boundaries of Lion's Head. And so that intersection of these properties within the town.
And amid master plan, we did add in the Moore Street area as well.
Yes,
discussion with the municipality, so it's expanded quite a bit out to the east there along the shore.
From my own benefit, so out Big Tub Road, and maybe that people can take more, you can tell me, but there is something in that out behind there on Big Tub Road, like there are lots in there, so that, yeah, and I guess on the other side here, there has been some interest shown in development there, say in Tobermory. So, and I'm looking east of Highway 6.
These diagrams don't necessarily show all the individual property lots per se. I mean, we could provide that level of detail as needed if you want to see that in the master plan, but went into much more detail with Tobermory since we were going after the funding. So we were very specific.
Yeah. So, Chris, just on the you talked about separation distance. What is that separation distance for water sewer?
Obviously, when services into homes, you typically want them separated for water and sewer. And the same thing when you're building, say, a treated water main and a gravity sewer, the ministry usually has a separation of 2.5 horizontal meters. Just helps with potential contamination. So if your water main goes below 20 psi and say your gravity sewer is here, you could have some potential contamination entering the water main. So they're just trying to protect that. With rock installation, that's a rock removal, I should say, that's a lot of money to have a trench that large. So there is some potential to request confirmation from the ministry I've had to do it in another job as well, where we were able to shrink that distance as long as your water main's higher than your sewer. So we had to maintain that. So instead of vice versa, if you had your sewer higher, then leakage from a sewer could go down into the water main. So there are opportunities to get them closer. You just have to be careful and design them correctly. So.
No, just thinking of Tobermory and the rock situation there. So you basically need to cut trenches, I guess. Yeah.
I know with other water main replacement jobs that are in rock, we try and if we can install a new water main in the same location. So you put up a temporary system above ground, remove the water main and reinstall the new water main at a larger size within that same existing trench, assuming it was installed properly originally.
The other thing too, you talk about upgrades to the water treatment plant in Lion's Head. So that water treatment plant is not operating at near capacity. So what would the upgrades be to the system?
Would be main things would be fire flow.
Okay.
So you'd have to have larger pumps.
Okay.
You potentially need a larger space to Generally, it would be just from a capacity perspective as well. You may need more room to upgrade the equipment as time goes by. And I do realize, yes, it's not operating at full capacity, but the master plan kind of goes through the range of timelines for when you have to look at expanding. So could potentially connect some homes on at first, but then you'd have to upgrade eventually if you want to keep continuing.
Yeah.
So.
All right, thank you. Further questions?
Yeah, have a read through the master plans if I know they've just got them recently, but
We'll take a more in-depth look at those.
don't be overwhelmed. The main, there's 300, 400 pages of appendices, so
Yeah,
the main body is probably 50 to 60 pages.
we can get through that.
Yeah, so. And field your questions to Peggy as well, and then we can, if you have any concerns, we can look at them.
Well, on behalf of council and staff, thank you very much for your
Thank you
presentation.
very much.
You may hear more from us. All right, we have one other delegation, Joe Roach. Joe? Yeah.
What do you want?
Right there, Joe, yeah. Is that mic on, Joe? Is it red? Did you turn it off, Chris? Yeah, just press the silver button there, Joe. You're in business.
Business, eh? Okay. My name's Joe Roach. I was born in Peterborough, Ontario. And I had a successful career as a construction superintendent, building high-rise projects downtown Toronto. I built my lakefront home here in Little Pike Bay Estates in 1992, and I just want to give you a little history of what happened there, and I call it the Big Con. It was the last frontier for lakefront. They were offering 2 acres lots of damaged land, ravaged by winds, infestation of the balsam tree, choking the native trees, causing underbrush and dangerous forest conditions for the last 125 years. These are low elevation lots, and they had to get them sold. They were offering these lots back in 1985 for approximately $35,000 to $40,000. They flocked from Kitchener and Guelph and Listowel. The municipality of North Bruce were not proactive in solving problems of bylaws, so you are the target. They said that the cottages had to be 50 feet back instead of 100 to 300 feet, depending upon lot elevation. I don't understand this 50 feet. It should be feet above sea level, and it should be a meter at least to the underside of footing. They were also doing stone underneath the footings. It's not cold. It must be engineered. I made my first myself known in 1992 when I came up and had 1.5 feet of stone all nicely spread, looking really nice. And I made the excavator take it all out. My footings went on top of rock, not stone. Stone and water don't mix. Too much up and down. No way. All the boulevards were left in poor shape, stumps, trees, rocks, etc. There's absolutely no direction in lakefront problems. High wind, high water, does not include waves and sieges. How about waves throwing rocks? For God's sakes, leave your trees at the front. It's the first line of defense against wind or snow. These are things that should be discussed with the people coming up here that don't know anything. Actually, they think they know everything, but they don't. And what about the cleanup? Absolutely nothing. Okay, quite simply put, the Forest and Little Pike Bay Estates and Hobson Harbor, these are the two areas where I have properties, don't meet the safety standards set by the province of Ontario. They are infested by dead trees, underbrush that is dangerous to the public, first responders, and emergency personnel. It's so thick you can't get to or see. It'll burn so hot you can't put it out. What about insects and rodents? These are the only thing that looks nice is the driveway and the place where you have your home. The rest of the property is ignored. So I mean, like I've been there for over 30 years or 35, and nobody operates a chainsaw. Nobody cleans up. The only person I've seen it was your father, and he got that from me. And of course, Stenican cleaned up and the judge cleaned up, and that's it. The Bradleys, they did a half-assed job too. But anyway, okay, where are we here? There's no physical due diligence from North Bruce. Why is nobody addressing these problems? I mean, like, you got two problems. You have a problem with the safety, and you also got a problem with fire. Now, I guarantee that don't look like that picture there. Hawes Road and Hobson Harbor, there's no way. It's I just cringe every time I see the underbrush. It just makes me ill. Okay. Here's what happened, okay? Bylaw refused to meet, and this isn't the first time. I got the Department of Labor involved, then I got some attention. Bylaw was to bring the fire chief, and we had a meeting right on my front porch unannounced. It was lucky I was home, but I guess he shook him a bit. Items discussed. We discussed a fire line. I mean, it's possible. I think it's worth discussing. Absolutely no due diligence at all. There's some paperwork and stuff saying we're going to do that and you should do that, but nothing physical. I mean, if a fire broke out, there's going to be a lot of questions asked here. And we got our pants down. There's no way. You guys forecast severe wildfires. Wow. I can guarantee you we're not cut out for that. I'm not talking too loud, am I? You're okay. You're okay, all right. Okay, good. Access for emergency personnel and first responders through properties. That's a must. I mean, people live there. It's full of cottages, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the fire personnel has to get through, and so do first responders. People need to be shocked. Their attitude of the landowners is an attitude of ungrateful and indifferent. This is our land, and we can do what we want. You can't make me. These are the obstacles we have. I don't know. In a construction project, when things didn't go my way, safety, I shut her down. The crane stopped moving. I shut the power off. Hauled in the Department of Labor. Let's solve the damn problem. Hell, if an accident falls in one of my job sites, man, they're going to hang me. Anyway, red tag properties. These are also discussed. Bylaw actually said that we wouldn't be the first to be looked after, so that led me to believe that our community is not the only one that has a problem. Frankly, I'm having trouble with the careless handling of this issue and the way it's been handled. Oops, sorry. to. Oh, we lost a piece of paper. Okay, bang, bang. Okay, here's what I suggest. All the boulevards in our be cut back, all the trees removed, cut back to the actual property line. You take a measurement from the center of line and measure. You don't need to be exact. Who cares? They're not going to care. But that's got to be cleaned out. I mean, you have to show due diligence, right? We need safe access between the homes. You don't have to, they have all this underbrush because they don't want to put a fence or it's for privacy. No, you can't have personnel going through falling trees, dead trees, underbrush. That's just wrong. It's just been poor leadership from the township on all these issues and the possible fire line cut to borders, neighborhoods. I don't know what else to do on this thing. I don't know. How about just being as this is a safety issue and it's nothing has been handled? I'm surprised that you don't have any cleanup in this at all. This is climate action together, and there's absolutely no cleanup. There's no pressure put on the homeowner to either shit or get off the pot. I don't know. What do I have to do? Call for the resignation of the CAO and the bylaw officer? I think they're floating.
Well, how about you give us a chance to let them respond to council, Joe, so that we we need to see what
Yeah, okay, fine. I'm being a little harsh, I guess, but
well, maybe not. Who knows? But we just need to see what kind of answers you're getting.
what do you mean answer?
Well, you're suggesting there's quite a bit of stuff going wrong in your presentation here.
Yes.
So I'm just suggesting that the council or the staff inform council, responding to your concerns to see if we agree with what they're telling us and you. And
so you want to take this further? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm suggesting we want to see what's going on. We want a report to outline our response to your questions.
Okay, fine. So who's going to do a report?
Well, your bylaw is number one. You're suggesting bylaw.
Of course, there's nothing happening.
Fire. We'll have our fire department.
Absolutely, they're not well equipped enough. I know.
Okay.
When I hear words like severe wildfires,
Yeah,
that kind of bothers me.
we don't want them.
No way.
Yep.
And we have to be ready, and we're not. These forests surrounding these communities a mess.
Yeah. Give us a chance to respond, Joe.
Yeah, okay, fine.
And we'll see where we go from there.
Okay. Item number 2.
Yep. Go ahead. You have
I was just going to ask, are these all private properties?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, they're all private properties, but they're all like in this little Pike Bay Estates. There's a lot of empty lots. That are developers, and the land in behind is a forest that's unmanaged. So
because we have to kind of look at the bigger picture too, because we have huge tracts of conservation lands and federal lands that we really don't have any control over, and they have different measures as far as how I personally have been wary of the fire issue too, with the amount of conservation and federal lands where a tree falls down, it just stays there. So, but what we'll need to know, like, what's the difference between federal and private lands as far as cleanup to me, because even though I've been pounding a little bit about fire, like national parks, huge tracts of conservation lands that aren't managed for fire, and getting nowhere, just so, what the difference is with private lands. So I was just curious if these were all private lands. So I'll quit talking, let you get on to number two.
Yeah, but I also too, like in my area, they're like, it's not the ash trees. It's all dead populars. See, these are widow makers on private land, and if there was a fire about in a 2-acre property, you won't be able to see it, but you have to go in there, and these trees will fall right on you, or you can't even get to it. Okay, I don't know. Obviously, you have to get lawyers involved, or maybe you have to make them do it, or they have to hire someone. It's going to cost them a lot of money, I would think, and but I don't know. I did it. I do a little bit at a time, and I know your dad did it, and that's the way all the lots should look. And it's an issue now because of climate change, and all we need is a little drought, and it could be next month or sometime in September or next year, but we're going to get it. And all it takes is a lightning strike south of me along the edge, and there goes my house, because it's just a mess of trees in between the properties. You can't get to them. I don't know.
Okay,
Is that
well,
good enough?
that's good enough, Joe. Yeah, that,
Do you want to do item number 2?
sure.
All right, okay. And this new guy moved in next door to me, just north of me, and
Joe, what is item number 2, just to,
well, it's just that he put the roadway in the wrong side. It's on the wrong side of the lot.
oh, okay.
I don't know how you can approve a roadway without seeing a plot plan.
Okay.
See, right now, we got a nice little wind tunnel. That's just unbelievable. He's opened up 80 feet in the front. 80 feet. He put his driveway in the wrong side, so you got a nice wind tunnel there. He moves his house over 25 feet, angles it, so I got a nice funnel coming in. He's got a 12-foot drift coming up right on our border. He's knocking my trees over. He's already lost a lot of trees. He doesn't care. He's a developer. He's got his house perfectly on one side. All his services, water, everything is over here. This side, he wants to sever and build another house someday. That's his plan.
Okay, so you want us to have a look at that driveway?
I want you to please look at that driveway and find out. I mean, this plot plan is a secret thing. You can't get to it unless you hire a lawyer. So look at the plot plan. I'd be interested to know where he put the well. On that plot plan, because it's over there stacked right behind the septic. Now, I bet you $1 to a donut. It's not 50 or 60 feet away, but that's fine, whatever. Maybe it is. I didn't measure it. But he wants to put another building there someday. I know it.
All right, well,
Okay, I want a fence. I want him to lay out the property, property line. I need a fence. There's one other issue he's got to do. He's got to, well, that's enough for now. I'll hear.
that'll keep us busy.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Did I do all right?
you did fine.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, when will I find out some kind of progress on this, or?
I'll just look to our CAO here and give us an idea of a timeline.
So as per council direction, we will report back at the next council meeting.
Oh.
At that point, once council's received it, we will send you a copy of that report.
Okay, super. So it'll be a good idea to come next council meeting?
We will get the report.
Yeah.
And if you could look at the report, you would have to make another delegation to council. Did you contacted the clerk, right?
I did.
Yeah. Good. And if you're best to look at the report and see what you think.
So then when will I get the report?
The report is it August 13th, our next council? August 10th is our next council meeting.
Okay, so I'll have it by then, right?
So you'll, it'll come out on the Thursday before August the 10th. So whatever date that is, that would be,
Better pick it up, then I'll save the mail. You can call me,
would you?
call me, let me know, and I'll come and get it. You don't
Okay.
have to worry.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to stress that, when you get to the Department of Labor involved, I don't know, due diligence is really handy,
Okay.
really handy. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joe. All right. You, go on to our agenda. Well, considerations of agenda items, and first of all is the CAO reports. Is that council directs staff to submit an application to Bruce Power through the Regional Municipal Readiness Assessment Fund for the following studies: Tobermory Water Treatment Expansion Review, and the municipalities Parks and Recreation Master Plan Review. Second for that, Smokey, Todd. So just a question, and so what do we get beyond, well, I in the report outlines it, but beyond what we already know, Peggy, so the presentation we had here today, the information that's in that report, what do we get that's above and beyond that?
So this essentially is the next step on siting for a treatment center within Tobermory. And as Chris has stated, is that the next step is to do a siting to ensure that, updated costs are provided to council. So we would look at the sections that have been provided already to council through the master plan and check out their feasibilities for those areas. Once we find a feasible area, the next step would be involved with providing for the EA. So this is just a small step in the process. However, providing a grant does save the municipality some costs and also keeps momentum up in this project itself.
Yeah, no, I think I just wasn't sure what that would give us beyond in that one. I mean, the recreation master plan, that's good. That needs a bit of an update. Okay, any further, Rod?
So really, we've got two asks here. Is it weighted, or we're just throwing them into the mix and hoping for the best?
I have had consultation with the Bruce C group, and they believe that both are a good candidate for the funding. Hence, we will receive half for each, but as stated before, this does allow for us to continue momentum as a master plan for siting of the treatment center.
Other questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. CAO report number 2. The council receives report CAO 26-09 as information regarding the acquisition of lands in Lions Head for future recreational and community infrastructure opportunities. Mover and seconder for that one. Rod? Any questions, comments? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Item number C, CAO, is that council approves the creation of 2 permanent full-time waste management operator positions, subject to completion of the required collective agreement discussions with Local 266. And the staff be authorized to engage with Local 266 regarding the required amendments to the collective agreement, including classification and wage placement. And at the following completion of the labor relations process, staff be authorized to proceed with recruitment and implementation of the positions. Todd? Alon? Any questions regarding that? Rob?
So this could happen internally, potentially, but we're really looking for new blood, right?
Correct. So we would follow the internal and external process for hiring for these two positions. We have already started discussions with OPSU, and they are in agreement with the job description. So the next step would be amendments to the contract and wage placement.
Smokey?
Yeah, just so I get this clear in my head, we're looking for 2 more employees that will be full-time, that will strictly be on garbage.
That is correct.
Okay. It's just that in my, of course, I have things going on in my head that no one knows. But I mean, I guess originally I kind of thought, okay, we're doing our own garbage, which is so we have so much more garbage in the summer than we do in the winter. And we have so much more snow in the winter than we do in the summer. So is there not some way to make this work for the municipality? Like perhaps we're going to do that at any rate, but rather than hire 2 more full-time employees, I'm just questioning that because I'm going to be questioned about it. So I would like to know the rationale why, and I suppose should we really just give this the first year? I'm just questioning the rationale behind that because I had thought perhaps, we could make this work within our staff, or maybe how many staff do we think we're going to need to do our own service? Perhaps this is reasonable, but I'd like an explanation on it, please.
The only way that we can explain this is that at each new term of council provides a direction for the level of service. It incorporates our full-time staff. So our staff currently right now are all working full-time shifts to provide for a new business unit within the Public Works Department. Council would have to advise of which level of service that we would require to cut to actually provide for that collection service. So right now, we're anticipating that it won't be a one-day event of garbage collection, similar to currently what is being held on Mondays. Waste management brings up 7 to 8 trucks on a Monday to actually do all of our collection. That will be impossible for us to complete. So for us to at least provide 4 days of 10-hour shifts, that's 40 hours right there. Potentially, there are going to be days that things might be very laxed, but we still have to actually travel the entire municipality to actually pick up each garbage and visit each site. And hence why we're still looking at a certain structured day of it. If we could go to 1 staff, that would be great. However, we do require to have 2 staff to do the service. We are also looking at a potential for a casual part-timer in case of sickness. That right now will be provided by current staff members if required. But unfortunately, right now we are already a full workload during the day. And to move 2 other staff into another business unit would require us to look at something, a reduction in service for something else.
Thank you for the explanation. And it's on recording, so I will, then I'm asked, why we can't make this work, I will direct people to your explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, we also had a report last meeting that outlined the whole service that we're going to try and provide in-house. So that report is a detailed report, and it spells out why we need 2 people. And I I think it warrants. If we're going to provide our own service, and that's what we decided at the last meeting that we were, and we need staff to do it, so. Yeah.
And also just the curiosity that these will be full-time. This will be their job description, this is what they do. We're not looking at people that can go in between jobs, do this or do the other. So that's clear as well, that it's strictly on the garbage. Okay, thank you.
All right, further questions, comments? Call a vote, all in favor? Opposed, the motion is carried. Clerk's department is the Joint Compliance Audit Committee, and that council directs staff to bring forward a bylaw to appoint members to the Bruce County Joint Compliance Audit Committee. Mover and seconder for that one, Todd and Rod. Any questions on that one? Call a vote, all in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. The clerk's report again, item B, as the council directs staff to bring forward a bylaw to delegate authority to the CAO during a lame duck period. Second for that one, Smokey, come on. Any questions on that one?
We have to call it lame duck.
All right.
Lame eagle or something. Yeah.
All right. And lame duck it is. Call the vote, all in favor. Carried. We're at Treasury, and that council authorized the mayor and clerk to enter into agreement with our new doctor, and I'm not going to try and pronounce that name. Peggy, we will just say we are very delighted to have a new doctor join the Peninsula Family Health Team in Lion's Head, and when they do, we agree to enter into an agreement with them. So motion to bring that forward to Todd and Rod. Any questions on that? Call the vote, all in favor? Opposed, the motion is carried. Next, we go to Public Works, and that council approves the purchase of a new 2025 Freightliner rear loading refuge truck in the amount of $318,000 plus HST. We're going to second for that one. Rod, I'm on. Any questions on that one? So you were able to get that one, Troy? Eh? Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have a hold on it right now until the approval from council. So
Okay.
We're very fortunate that there was a new one available. So
yeah.
Also, before we can apply to get our licensing to be able to do collection through the MOE, we have to have a truck in place to secure that licensing to do the collection. So this is kind of the first step in getting our approvals to do it. So.
All right. Any questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Item B, Public Works, and that council awards the winter sand tender to Hunter Haulage and Excavating Inc. for the amount of $147,776, excluding HST. Moved by Smokey, second by Amon. Any questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Parks and Facilities, that council accepts the proposal from Tri-Phase Group in the amount of $66,955 plus HST for demolition and site restoration of 3 Centennial Drive, inclusive of designated substance removal, backfill, compaction, and securing preservation of on-site hydro, water, and septic. Mover and seconder for that. Todd, Rod. The substance removal, Peggy, what, Clark, sorry.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. There was the assessments done on various municipal buildings. This building had a small amount of asbestos containing material in the floor tiles of one of 6 bathrooms. So it's a very small amount, but it still has to be treated and disposed of according to provincial regulations.
Right.
So,
Right. All right. Any further questions on the moon? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Item B is Build Community Strong Fund grant application. And the council authorized staff to submit a funding application to the Build Community Strong Fund for the replacement of the noted roof surfacing, HVAC, and refrigeration and the equipment and refrigeration equipment, in the Lions Head Community Center and Arena to be proposed in the 2027 capital budget. Mover and seconder on that one, Smithy. On. Mark, do you want to give us a little update on that? Or?
this is a good funding opportunity specific to the refrigeration system of the arena. And Simcoe Refrigeration, who's doing our capital improvements this summer, is helping us write the grant and reinforce the grant. There's no commitments there. Doesn't cost us anything for their assistance in the report. And it does align with our asset management, building condition assessment reports, and our capital planning for next year.
Okay, good.
So these are all items that are due in the next year or two for replacement. So.
Right. All right. Any further questions? All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Item number C for facilities is Tobermory Community Center flooring. That council waives the purchasing policy section 5424 sole source supply of goods and or services for the purchase order of specialized flooring product. And the council accepts the quotation from Advantage Sports for the supply and installation of Target Omni Sport Multiplex flooring to the main hall of the Tobermory Community Center in the amount of $79,500 plus HST for the specs of the quote dated July 20th, 2026. Mover and seconder for that one. Rod? Todd? Any comments on that, Mark? Yes, Rod, sorry.
Just a humorous aside here.
Okay. Maybe it's okay, yeah.
So this is actually the 3rd floor we had in there. The 1st floor they put in, the guy that made it was a good smoker, and that was a guy that could smoke and flammable. But he also had paper matches that he flipped out on the floor, and they tiled over top of them. So we went in to look at the new floor, and it's they had to rip the whole thing out and start all over again.
Oh God.
Don't smoke at work.
Yeah. So this flooring, Mark, is
So the current tile flooring is similar to the tile flooring in this room. When you're there, if you've ever taken a close look, there's a fair bit of bubbling occurring in some of the floor tiles in various lines where we believe the seams are in the concrete subfloor. It appears to be a moisture problem. Not that the concrete is deteriorated, but the moisture problem shows up kind of hard to explain why, but it does. and it can separate the glue, the adhesive from the tile, and it causes a bubbling of the tile. Our floor maintenance ends up grinding those tiles as they get raised. We have a floor machine. And then they will eventually dry, crack, and they become an uneven floor hazard for users of the facility. So what's there currently has been repaired. Those seams have been repaired prior. We have been monitoring the floor. It's deteriorated a bit quicker than we had hoped this summer, to the point that I have concerns that we should be looking at replacing it now rather than waiting until next year in the capital budget process. October is our best month in terms of downtime for redoing the flooring in the hall and transition between different user groups and pickleball. The other advantage to changing the floor product surface is the floor product that we're recommending will come with painted lines for the pickleball courts, so there won't be the masking tape application that's laid and then removed each time the floor has to be waxed and stripped. So there's some advantages that way, and this product comes with an actual vapor barrier, moisture barrier underlay, which should prevent any further future moisture issues to whatever flooring we put down. So
will the floor just be a white color or gray color with the lines on it? Because I see some look like planks and.
yeah, so in the photos in the report, it shows the most prominent color pattern they use, which is a wood pattern. It's a vinyl sheet roll, 6 feet wide, so there'll be less seams, and the seams are heat welded and glued to the floor. And they offer some cushion resistance for sport playing. So we do have pickleball that plays in there to be more friendly to their joints. It's easier to maintain. It's mopping or we can still use the floor machine. We just don't have to strip and wax twice a year, which is a multi-day endeavor twice a year and about $1,000 in materials each year, just maintaining the existing floor. So.
Thank you, Mark. Any further questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Go to building department. Item A. The council approves the application for an exemption from the tent and trailer bylaw in consideration of the unique circumstance presented. Mover and seconder for that. Smokey. Todd. I just don't quite get this one here.
I could
Yeah.
speak when my mic is not here, but
that's right beside the house that burnt down. And I guess the stench and the smell from what's left of the building is pretty overpowering. So these people have another lot. They'd like to move the trailer up there short term only until cleanup is done.
Yeah. So yeah. Sounds good. All right. Any further questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And we go to the item 6 on the agenda, the minutes for the museum for June 9th, 2026. You want a motion for that, Alex? No? We'll go to item number 7, correspondence requiring council direction. So there's the Rotary Club. We've had the report there from them requesting a temporary patio license at the Rotary Hall. So that's the new patio that's been added to the Rotary Hall. They would like support there to license that area during summer, basically. Yeah. Goodbye. Come on. Second by Rod. Any questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Go to number 8. Larry Cousins. Huron Drive Road access. Troy, do you want to speak to that a little bit? Or I mean, I guess I kind of get, I'm just looking here at your response, Troy, and just, it says, or continued, on page 2, it says, or continued availability of the route. And it's just, and I'll let you just have a look at that. And this is probably some legal advice we got, but.
Yes, so this was, letter was in response to the, letter that we, correspondence we received from the Ontario Landowners Association.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, so this was a letter that went back to them in response for council support, that they have used that to access. And I believe, the Mr. Cousins, I believe, is one of the owners in that area. And maybe was just partly confused about what the letter was about, is kind of my understanding of it. But
yes.
Because really there's no change in anything that we've done, so.
Okay, that dates back to that Ontario landowners request.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm just, so he responded though to your letter, Troy, right? In here.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. And do we respond back to him, or?
We could respond back to him with clarify with what his, we could do that.
Whoops, sorry. Yeah, good.
Yeah, there just seemed to be some unease about the way our letter came out, and that's just the legalese that we have to use. But I think you said it there, nothing will change. Yeah.
Staff can do that.
Sounds good. And then the Ministry of Energy and Mines. And is there anything here that staff can mark, or who would look at this a little bit to see if there's anything here that we can? I'll just direct it back to staff to have a look at it, and there may be some opportunity there. Next, we'll go to other business. Does anyone? Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to I asked a few weeks ago about the progress on the seniors apartments in Tobermory, and yes, the residents on the west side have been reinstated but I've been questioned. They haven't seen anybody working there since that. How will I put this? When are they going to be allowing the residents in the east side of the building to move back in? Do we have any ideas on that, or?
We do not have a firm date. We do expect them to be in, however, before Christmas. But we will direct your questions to Bruce County.
Yes, that's what I was hoping you'd say. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Smokey and Lamont.
So last council meeting, we had the food bank do a presentation, requested some assistance on finding a new location. Just wondering when we're going to look at that report again. Just it sounded like the request was kind of semi-urgent or some urgency to it.
So staff have reviewed current locations within our current owned municipal facilities. Unfortunately, we don't have any spaces available at this time. However, as per the report regarding purchasing of property for recreation and community purposes, I believe it might be a good avenue for council to have that discussion of what the next steps are with that property.
I just have a question regarding the high-speed internet. I know people that live in South Bruce and they've actually been hooked up to new services. And it just appears that there doesn't seem to be much action going on in North Bruce. I just was curious as to the status.
We'll have to get back to you on a current updated status. We do have it on our website, but I know they haven't actually updated the map currently right now.
Anyone else? Some other business? If not, we will move into item 10 on the agenda, which is closed session, and that council move into closed meeting with the CAO and clerk in attendance pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the following reasons. Personnel matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically related to a personnel update. You were a seconder for that. Todd and Smokey, all in favor. Motion carried.